The land of Wano, to the samurai country where cherry blossoms flutter. Episode 892. The most well-known anime series about pirates is One Piece, but the latest Wano Country Arc combines a few other genres. In the episode 892, Wano Country, to the land of samurai where cherry blossoms flutter. A culture largely influenced by feudal Japan is depicted, and it fully embraces that style. This episode contains the Straw Hat Pirates dressed like characters from a samurai movie, but the thrill goes beyond just that. The episode starts off with the characters adjusting to their new positions. But the main draw of this new arc, samurai versus pirates, is showcased in the second half. The battle between Zoro and a whole city's worth of samurai has only just begun. The beginning with the brand new opening song, Over the Top by Kidadeni Hiroshi, are astounding. It actually begins like an anime. One of the major annoyances with the New World introductions was that they invariably reverted to the Straw Hats' Fishman Island garb, as if it were what the characters genuinely wore. This new introduction truly sells us on what's going to happen in this story arc by showing the cast in their new samurai garb. Half of the Straw Hats are waiting for the rest of their crew to come as the story opens in the middle of them drowning in a vortex as a result of the previous episode. Zoro, Usopp, Franky, and Robin, respectively, play the roles of a ronin, an oil dealer, a carpenter, and a geisha. The Shogun Kurozumi Orochi, an ally of the main antagonist Kato, is on the lookout for them. Thus these four must pose as regular Wano inhabitants to escape being caught. All is okay until Zoro is accused of killing someone. An evil slasher stalks the streets of Wano Country, killing innocent people. Zoro discovers a victim and tries to direct the police as they chase the offender. The authorities come to the conclusion that the real slasher is Zoro. It turns out that the municipal magistrate, who has been slicing open residents to gauge his own fortitude, is the real criminal. The magistrate accuses Zoro and orders him to execute seppuku, or ritual suicide by dismemberment, while the real slasher takes Zoro's fabled weapons. Zoro accepts the seppuku's short blade, but instead of using it on himself, he slices the air with it, sending a shockwave that is powerful enough to pierce the magistrate's chest cleanly without actually making touch. Zoro fights back when the assembled samurai turn on him, in an effort to protect their king. Before grabbing a blade from one of his victims and starting a full-scale combat in which he slaughters dozens of swordsmen, he first cleaves through them with the short sword. His chances appear less certain without his three swords, including one sword that is too tiny and lacks a grip. Though, sadly, the battle doesn't get finished before the episode closes. Do you recall the previous episode when Luffy was in a whirlpool and was about to drown? He and his ship wash ashore at the conclusion of this one. Though he is still alive and unharmed, his crew's fate is yet unknown. If Luffy is to have any hope of winning, Zoro must now be brought under Kato's control. Thus he must gather the Straw Hat Pirates, travel to Wano, and stand by their friend. However, the episode ends with a furry beast racing towards him as it flees a sword battle with an unidentified presence in the adjacent woods. The shorter runtime for the intro means there is less potential for boring or generic shots, which is another fantastic asset to the new sketchy hand-drawn graphic style. Even though this means the introduction has plenty of spoilers, it's all action and intriguing hints for upcoming sequences. We need to catch up on what the other half of the crew has been doing since Luffy's voyage to Whole Cake Island as we enter this scary new world. Zoro, Franky, Usopp, and Robin have been posing as Wano locals and using Japanese identities to fit in. Kinemon has told them not to cause a scene since they must wait for Luffy and the others before they can effectively launch their assault on Kaido and his men. The opening of a stage curtain to expose Wano's environment introduces us to a key motif of the arc. This arc, which was once one piece of Wano, is a samurai movie, kabuki play, and rakugo performance. The masked shamisen player, a teal-haired woman who will undoubtedly play a significant role in the story, is accompanied by curtains. I'm looking forward to seeing how this arc develops its act structure hook. I believe that towards the end of the story, the artifice must have a literal meaning. The voice actors were speaking more slowly than normal. This made me think that the anime was experimenting with new techniques to lengthen the plot without making it obvious. We are guided step by step through the circumstances that led to Zoro being prosecuted for murder, which the manga just cut to in media res. So there is at least one important flourish to the plot. Obviously, he didn't do it, but the incident sets up a jaw-dropping fight scene in which Zoro uses a little seppuku blade to dispatch a number of swordsmen. He's not really blending in, is he? We've only just begun, but the Wano anime's visuals are already fantastic. so things are already looking great. This episode of One Piece still follows a very basic formula at its core, but it takes much more care to avoid the pitfalls that made our previous excursions feel tedious. The new aesthetic direction will make sure that there is at least some base charm keeping the show above water, even when the animation quality ineluctably slips again. Every season, a ton of excellent anime is released. Therefore, it would be fantastic if One Piece ever had a chance to compete with any major franchises aside from itself. This episode ends here, leaving the viewers curious. Please like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.